Guys, right now, I'm gonna show you how to coat over your existing laminate with existing backsplash. I ripped this out of a job that I just completed, that white kitchen. Check it out in the description below. It's how I built tops out of wood, went and installed them, built the cabinet up. But did you also know you could coat over your existing surface, saving the time and money on ripping these out and the expense on buying new material over at the hardware store? Let's pretend that this is installed. I'm gonna prepare this countertop as if I'm pouring this on site in an existing home. I'm not gonna remove the backsplash. I'm gonna teach you right now, step by step, how to properly prep laminate, including the backsplash, for an on-site epoxy pour. Stay tuned and enjoy the video. I've properly diluted this TSP into my spray jug. I'm gonna glove up for this, and I'm gonna thoroughly clean this existing surface using trisodium phosphate. In this case, it's a substitute. We're gonna spray it down. I'm gonna grab a microfiber rag or a maroon or green Scotch-Brite, like a sponge, a scrubbing sponge. That does a really good job of getting rid of any kitchen grease or grime or anything like that. You want to get that off your surface first thing. It's already cleaning a bunch of junk off. Yuck. All right, that's your maroon Scotch-Brite. This is just jumbo form. You can pick these up at the hardware store. Dang, okay. Check out the difference. That scrubbed, most of the grease is gone. I still got to get this high point. And look at how much grease and grime is on this side. Big difference. Yuck. Sheesh. It's a lot better already. I'm going to rinse it off with some isopropyl alcohol. You could also use at this point some just regular water. Just going to rinse off any residue from the TSP. So you're also going to want to know what is in here. If you have silicone right here, dried silicone does not play well with epoxy. So you're going to want to get rid of any silicone. So I'd cut that out. Latex caulking is just fine. The epoxy will bond right fine to it. So now that we have cleaned our piece, I'm gonna rough it up with our roughest grit. I'm gonna use 60 grit, and that's gonna score this glossy laminate, non-porous surface. You're gonna wanna rough it up, create a mechanical bond, a bite for the bonding primer to come. That's what's coming after we sand. The bonding primer is a mechanical / chemical bond that is designed for slick, smooth surfaces. We like a UMA, urethane modified acrylic bonding primer. The XIM is our favorite brand. Why? Because the ammonia levels are super low. The glossiness is definitely died down. You can see the score marks. I'll clean out my dust again one more time. No need for the TSP, that's all done. Just use isopropyl alcohol from this point. It dissipates real quick, cleans it really well. All right, we're sanded and cleaned thoroughly. The next thing I need to address is that lip right there. That is a little lip. That's your actual laminate thickness. So you can see it pretty good right there. I'm gonna transition that high point right there with a little bit of bondo. I'll let that dry and then I'll come back and sand. I'm gonna do it both to the backsplash and to my front edge. And then I'm gonna fill in a little crack like that with some bondo. If I had silicone here, I would want to cut that out, but this is latex, so we're good to go. Ooh, that's nice and rough. I could feel that. I'm gonna mix up some bondo, get rid of that sharp 90, and then it's gonna flow real nice. Right, a little bit of bondo. Just make that nice and smooth so you don't have any sharp lips. And we're good to go. Same thing up here on the backsplash. We'll let that dry about 25, 30 minutes. Come back, apply coat number 2, nice and thin. And then we'll let this dry completely and apply our undercoat. All right, second coat of bonding primer is down. We're gonna let this wait 2 to 3 hours, and then I'll be back for the next step, which is our black undercoat. I'll apply 2 coats, and then we're ready to fog on some undertones, our marble spray, and mix up some clear epoxy. All right, undercoat's dry. I'm gonna now take some hammered spray paint, a little bit of gloss black and gloss white, and pre-fog my countertops. You know, if I'm in a house, I'm gonna have walls right here. I'm gonna have those taped off. I'll plastic off the cabinets and the uppers to keep any overspray to a minimum. I'll open a window, put a fan on. Right now I'm gonna mask up, and then I'm gonna just pre-fog a little detail with some hammered dark bronze, hammered copper, and hammered silver, little gloss white and black. Where's my mask at? Let's do this.
The stinkiest part of epoxy is spray paint and bondo. Get your respirator on, protect those lungs from spray paint. The epoxy itself has 0 VOCs, no need for a mask. I'm going real light, I'm just fog and color. So I'm just stepping back, looking at it as a whole, and then I'm just going to layer very lightly my colors up. That was copper. Need a little more silver. I don't know if I'm going to use the white. I don't think so.
That right there, you could throw epoxy on it. That finish would look really pretty. That was simple, man. Just hammered spray paints and a touch of black gloss to kind of fog everything together. I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna come apply some white marble spray, fracture lines, and then the clear epoxy. I'm gonna let this dry though. All right, the next step is our marble fracture spray. You can pick this up in the link in the description below. We put together a nice little landing page that shows you multiple creative projects using the marble and stone spray, perfect for going over your existing surface with your backsplash attached. All right, if you pick this up from our website, pop this lid off. There's a washer right here. Discard that washer, and then you're ready to spray. If you go to slam on this cap and it doesn't come out, pop that washer out. So if you haven't used this before, get yourself a scrap board, give it a good shake, make sure that this is working properly. Oop, it is. So you'll see, as I change the angle of the can, it changes the direction my spray comes out. Okay. This is gonna look good over that piece. All right, here we go. Ooh, yeah, see, that'll tie that together well. Get the front edges. You let it dry a little bit, and there's gonna be these fibers here that aren't quite hitting. See, like right here. Just pull that away. That was an easy step. I'm gonna let that chill out. I'm gonna let it dry for maybe an hour or so, and then I'm gonna mix up and apply some clear epoxy to the backsplash and surface and edges, and then the ultimate top coat in this project will be complete. So we're 26 by 28. 26 inches by 28 inches. How do you figure out square foot when you're working with inches? It's easy. I can explain why the formula works. Maybe one of you can in the comments below, but I got 26 inches times 28 inches equals 728. You divide that by 144. That's 5.05 square feet. I need 15 ounces of resin to cover this. That is like $7 in resin. That's awesome. Let me get some gloves before I start mixing. This is one way to cover existing laminate with backsplash attached. If I'm going off site, most of the times I'm removing this backsplash. I'll fill that little gap with a little bondo, sand that flat, pour my countertops, and I'll have my backsplash fabricated right behind me. Let's say I'm doing an exotic pour. You can't pour an exotic pour on a vertical backsplash. It's just gonna run and not look so hot. So if you're gonna do that sort of technique, remove the backsplash, bondo that crack, fabricate backsplash, lay it down flat in the same area you're working, pour your kitchen, turn around, pour that backsplash, let it dry, and then you're gonna install that vertically, and then the two surfaces are gonna match perfectly. So you could use the marble spray, you could fog on the paints. We have that stone speckle spray where you could layer on a few colors of that. That looks a lot like Corian, a real uniform countertop. So there's multiple ways you could tackle your project on site with very minimal demo, saving you a bunch of time and money. This guy's ready to rock and roll. I'm gonna mix up 15 ounces of resin, clear epoxy, 1-to-1 ratio, mix for 2 minutes. I'll pour that out, I'll evenly apply it, and I'll make sure I evenly apply over my backsplash, and we'll let that cure overnight. If I was on site or installing this in a customer's home, I would be back the next day to mix up and apply the ultimate top coat, bringing durability to maximum and sheen level down to a little bit more realistic look. And then it'll be ready to install the next day. You could do this in your house over your existing countertops in a single weekend. We're showing you right here how to do it on our channel. And if that doesn't earn a subscribe, I don't know what does. Crush that subscribe button, hit the like, and if you're super happy with this video, share it with your friends. That really helps that video grow. It's time to mix some epoxy. All right, it's winter here in Oregon. It's chilly, hence the overalls. So what do we do when it's chilly and your epoxy's a little bit cold? We warm it up in front of a space heater for about 10 minutes. It really liquefies it a little bit more. Helps with mixing, helps with spreading. Just warm up that resin. It is a very good practice to follow. To easily apply your clear epoxy, we like using an 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch square notch trowel to evenly spread the material all across the surface. We'll use this chop brush or your gloved hand to hit your edges, and we'll use this brush to apply it to that backsplash. All right, just pour out a little bit of your resin here in the center. Ooh, that's already coming to life. Nice. Just glide nice and gently. You don't want to scrape anything on the surface. All our colors for this project are on the surface of our countertop. So I'm just gliding this notch trowel to spread that material out as evenly as possible. Dip in my brush here and wet my edges with that. All right. Dang, that looks pretty. Epoxy makes that paint look vivid and wet. I don't see any dry spots or any areas where surface tension is going to keep the resin from coating. So with super light pressure, I'm just kind of knocking down any runs. I'll do this a couple times. Now I need to chop, now I need to chop the top. What does that mean? So I use the trowel to evenly spread the material. When I chop the top, it's going to mix the material one final time. And it's also eliminating any iridescent trowel lines that you might see as the light travels across your project. So in a random fashion, just use the heel of the brush to chop in and break up that material. You're gonna mix it one additional time here on the surface. And then we're gonna grab a heat source, either a blowtorch or a heat gun. Hit the surface with that heat, and that's gonna break up your surface tension and pop any of the little air bubbles we've incorporated into this project. Troweling, chopping, mixing, all that good stuff. So again, check your edges. Give them a good rub with that brush. And I'm gonna grab a heat source. This thing is almost done. Working with epoxy like this, it doesn't get much easier. Those of you who are a little nervous about mixing up colors into your epoxy, this is the technique for you. You're gonna know pretty much what your countertop looks like before you even apply the clear epoxy. That epoxy is just gonna enhance the colors you've applied. So if you don't like the look of it, just add more colors before you put on the epoxy. That looks good. What we should have done is add some diamond dust, bro. That would have added some sparkle. Maybe I still do that with what I got left. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna add some fracturing with it. Okay, I have a little clear left. I'm gonna mix some diamond dust into that and show you what that'll do. It's gonna add some fracturing to it. Woo, I usually do it into colored epoxy. So let's see what it looks like in some clear. Might look really good. Or if it looks terrible, I'll just chop it in and blend it. So barely adding any in here. Oh. Okay, now I'm gonna add some fracture drizzles. Ooh, that is pretty. That's all I'm adding. That added a cool little feature to it without adding too much. I'm gonna let that dry overnight. Whew, that looks good. Those fractures were a nice little touch in my opinion. Good job pushing the envelope, Mitch. Pat myself on the back. That's it, folks. Applying a clear coat of epoxy is that simple. This thing's ready to go. The air has been removed. It's gonna continue to self-level for a couple more hours. There's no nasty smell, so you don't need to worry about that working inside your house. If I was doing this in a home, I would shut off the lights, make sure the heat and AC is off so I don't have any lint and stuff blowing down onto my countertop. I would ask the family to stay out of the kitchen for the rest of the day. Tomorrow, the epoxy will be dry. We'll be back to install the ultimate top coat. And then one more day of waiting. The next day after that, you're ready to use your kitchen.